Hey, I'm Rhiannon, or Nonny. Yep, that's me. And just like most of us, I try to be good. I'm a feminist, I work for an environmental charity, and I try to look after myself. But I have a few bad habits. So every month I'm taking on a new challenge to try and be a bit better for the planet, other people, and myself. Welcome to the Resolution Project. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rhiannon and this is the Resolution Project, as you'll have just seen from the titles. So welcome back. Today I am going to be talking to you about a really not a very glamorous subject, which is litter picking. So I was actually put on furlough for 3 months over the lockdown period. So I wanted to do some kind of challenge that I wouldn't normally be able to do if I was working, because I just don't have that much time. So I decided to go out litter picking. I didn't give myself like an exact amount of days that I wanted to go out litter picking. I just wanted to do some litter picking, so I wanted to go out at least once a week, which I definitely did. Sometimes I went out every day in a week. So back then I was living in Greenwich, so that's kind of where I went litter picking. There's this big massive park thing called Blackheath, for those of you that aren't familiar with the area. So when the lockdown measures started to ease, I don't know if you remember now, it's been like so many different rules and regulations that it's hard to keep up with when was what, but just after the just after the lockdown measures eased, when we started to be allowed to sit down in parks, I imagine you probably noticed that litter levels just shot right up, and you know, it wasn't hard to see that when you went out somewhere the whole place was getting trashed. So yeah, I just wanted to do something that I had a bit more time for at that point. It wasn't something that I probably intended to continue with that much when I started going back to work or kind of beyond this challenge, but it was just something that I wanted to do. Also just to see what it was like. I haven't done that much litter picking before, but I do work for an environmental charity that often has litter picks involved in some of the work we do, or encouraging people to litter pick. So it was quite nice to kind of practice what I preach a little bit and actually get out there and do that myself, rather than just trying to encourage other people to do it. So I'm just going to talk you through the 6 things that I found when I started litter picking. Okay, firstly, it can be really disgusting. I'm pretty good with disgusting things. Like, I'm not a germaphobe, really. I don't really mind gross things, but some things you find you're just like, oh, please. So especially because everyone was hanging out in the parks and the public toilets hadn't opened yet, there was a lot of wet wipes that I found under trees, and I was like, oh, please. I am sympathetic, very sympathetic to people that wee outside, and especially when there's no public toilets open, like, kind of fair enough, you know? But wet wipes, they're made of plastic, they're going to stick around in the environment for like 400 years. Like, why are you taking these out and then leaving them under trees? And yeah, I had to clean them up. So that was pretty gross, but it gets worse. So I also found a used tampon. Ooh, like, again, what are these people doing? Like, leaving your tampon just out. Like, this wasn't even in a sheltered area. Like, at least the wet wipes were sort of under trees. This was just in the middle of the field. What the hell is going on? And then there was things like takeaway boxes, you know, disgusting bits of food. I'm a vegetarian. I don't really want to be clearing this stuff up if there's like chicken boxes and stuff. I cleaned up pretty much everything I found. It was gross, but I had gloves, so I was like protected. Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit gross, not gonna lie. It's not the most glamorous challenge, but I think, you know, that's partly why it's a good thing to do sometimes. You've gotta get in there and get a bit dirty with the tampons and the wee soaked wet wipes. Nice. On the flip side of that, you can actually find some really cool things as well. So I was litter picking up on Blackheath, but it was when I started going to down by the Thames that you get all sorts of exciting stuff, because there's just stuff that's been washed up from the depths of the river, and there's new stuff like every day. And I found some really cool things. Well, I think they're cool anyway. I'm like obsessed with the idea of doing some sort of mosaic at some point. So I've got like a bag of mosaic sort of things, which I think these would be really cool to add to. And then I can maybe even make sort of like a river litter mosaic. So I found a golf tee, loads of glass, which is a pretty standard thing to find washed up anywhere, but I love it. It's so cool. These clay pipes. So basically, these used to be pipes like you smoke, but they used to have them like we have like pre-rolled cigarettes now. They used to sell them with like tobacco in them, so they were just disposable. It wasn't like that was somebody's kind of precious pipe. That was literally like a disposable pipe, and people just used to chuck them in the river. So there's like thousands of them down there, and if you go down by the Thames you will find one of these. A little army man. A Monopoly hotel. It's this sort of like bell thing. I don't know why I wanted it, but it looked quite exciting to me. Another just interesting item. I have no idea what that is. If you can see that, have you any idea what that is? And loads of little bits of china. Really cute little bits, which would be great for the mosaic. So another thing that I found when I started litter picking is it can be so disheartening. You go out, you do a big litter pick, you clear a big area, and then you come back the very next day and the same place is trashed again. So it can just make you feel a bit bad about people and about life, and a throwaway culture, a culture that means that you don't really respect the environment that you're in. I know there's psychology behind it that means that people do what they do, but at the same time you're like, why? why? So yeah, it can be a little bit disheartening going out and having to clean up the same thing every single day. And then of course there's a flip side to everything. It makes you feel like you're making a real difference in your area. You know, lots of environmental solutions you can't really see the effects of a lot of the time, and environmental problems you often can't see that well. You know, pollution is pretty much invisible, so you can't see when that's being breathed in and out, and you can't really see when it's being reduced. Likewise, even with recycling, although you can see it build up and then you send it off, it then goes off to this kind of unknown place and you never see what happens to it. Whereas litter picking, there is a certain satisfaction coming to a place that looks really horrible, cleaning it up and then putting it in the bin, and you've really made a visible, tangible difference in your area. It makes you really feel part of the community as well, and that you're really looking after your area and that you take pride in your area, which I think is quite nice actually, to have a little bit of, you know, local pride. You also get lots of appreciation. I had lots of really nice comments. There was a woman jogging by that kind of stopped to say, well done. Another day there was a woman that shouted out of her house window to me. She was like, thank you. And I was like, that's okay. So it was like nice little interactions. Nothing, you know, nobody bothered you, but people were interested in what you're doing, and often, if anything, they were really positive about it. And then the other great thing is that it encourages other people to do it. Because I was going out every day, sometimes my housemate Zoe would join me, and then, you know, we pick up double the amount, and it just sort of spreads the litter picking love and helps clean up the area even more, and sort of getting other people to think about waste and litter. And you know, I find that I notice it now. I didn't used to notice it, it was just sort of part of the background, but now I notice it, and it's getting other people to notice it if they come out with you. And there was another person, oh man, so I was down on this little beachy patch by the Thames that I like to litter pick at, and there was a man and his son, like a really little boy, with him. The little boy was sort of throwing stones into the water, and I think he'd seen me kind of picking up litter and kind of saw it as something to touch and to play with, but then he started throwing that into the river, and I was like, and I know, I was just like, I can't believe, because I'm there sort of trying to clear it up, and then this little boy's throwing it in, and bless him, he didn't really know what he was doing, but the dad kind of noticed suddenly and was like, no, don't do that. And then because he'd also obviously seen that I'd been there cleaning it all up, and it looked pretty bad that that his son had just thrown it into the water. So then he actually started scooping it up. He got he must have got something to sort of pull it back in, and he actually managed to save the bits that his son had thrown into the river, which was really, really good. And then we actually ended up talking, and he was kind of asking me if I'm an artist or what kind of the reason why I was doing it. I was like, I'm just trying to, yeah, do a bit of litter picking and do a little bit of good stuff for the environment. And he actually then said, oh, you know what, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do some litter picking. So he was going to come back and do that with his son, which was just really lovely. So it's nice to see the kind of knock-on effect that, you know, doing a good thing can actually have. So yeah, that's it really. I think it's kind of a short and sweet one today. Loads and loads of positives to litter picking. Thoroughly recommend it. I haven't done it since the challenge, to be honest. It's definitely something I'd like to do again, and I definitely would do it again if I had a bit of free time. It takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of time out of your day, and I know a lot of people that do actually do that. Loads of people that I've worked with do it, so I would like to sort of practice what I preach a little bit more. But yeah, on the whole, really positive experience. A few gross things, but what's life without a few gross things? Let me know if litter picking is something that you've done, or if you found any interesting things that you want to show me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, do whatever you like with it. Definitely leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye!